Good morning, good evening, hello all. Corinne here with Soulshift channeling, and Phoebe here too, in spirit. No, in physical form, but with spirited energy. Happy Wednesday, y'all. I am here for a chit chat and then a channel collective reading. A channeled collective read. Ooh, the words. A channel collective read, and then a choose your pile mini Akashic record reading. Basically, what I do is I connect with source held space to bring in image and metaphor that can help deliver messages straight into your inbox, into your life, into your experience, to help clarify and guide you. A lot of what we do here is for service of highest good, service of collective, service of other, and aligned service that is in alignment with our highest, truest self, with our expression of self. I'm always seeking sustainability and clarity, compassion, and correct alignment where what we contribute and what we give gives back to us and really shifts our internal and external realities, so that way it can be wonderful for everyone, not just a few, and not just you and not just the other. So welcome, that's my spiel. Let's go ahead and welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. I'd love to hear about your time and experience here, so feel free to leave comments. But let's go ahead and dive right in. So I've started doing these chit chats where I share a little bit about what I'm going through, what my life is like, what I'm noticing. And funny enough, it always ends up coming, not always, but it often tunes into what we talk about later on. But what I'm noticing lately is my body really speaking to me clearly. I am recognizing at the time I'm recording and posting this, it's the fallow season, it's the winter season, it's the time to be resting and taking breaks, and I haven't really been following those instructions as much as I probably could be. And I'm noticing my body really asking me to slow down, really asking me to just sit with myself, and mostly just resting. I'm also noticing myself needing to put down the mental workload, needing to put down not just the physical workload, but the workload in my mind, where I am wanting to keep things moving. I want to keep the momentum that I feel like I have right now, but y'all, it's just a lot of work is done in the shadows. I'm hearing a lot of work is done when we set things down and we let them rest, Sometimes the biggest shifts and changes just take time, and it's not about working the metal. Like if you're metalsmithing, like working and working and working and working. Sometimes you gotta give the metal a rest, give it a break, because it can really turn brittle, it can crack, it can experience damage if we don't do that important rest period. Like chicken, after you cook it, you're supposed to take it out and let it rest, and it helps it retain all the juices and all sorts of good stuff like that. So I'm going to start thinking of myself this week as a chicken that needs to rest. Okay, guys, feel free to chime in and let me know what you're feeling, how you're feeling. Are your bodies speaking to you? Yeah. What are you here for? What are you looking for? What's going on? So let's go ahead and jump in. What I'll do now is I'll use a blessing to establish connection. We'll get collective opening imagery at the beginning. Then we'll move into individual readings that you can either choose by numbers or usually choose by emojis. I have been offering some short descriptions to help you identify which pile might be for you and which reading might be for you. I think we're gonna do 2 or 3 today, but I guess we always find out. It just depends. We gotta get there, and then we do what we're told. Okay. All right, my dears. Feel free to follow along or skip ahead to where you need. my center with your center, our center with all centers. Our center is the one center. I enter the realm of masters, teachers, and loved ones of this collective and match our hearts and minds with theirs. Let us find, through joy and wisdom, the ability to open the universe and ourselves to greater possibility and deeper love. Eternal source, fill our hearts with clarity and sacred power and show us this collective's place of balance. Hear us now as we become one with the whole. When we are complete, release us in love and admiration, keeping our energy raised. The records are open. Okay, loves, I am seeing like a collection, like a rubber band of, it's not exactly like what I have here, but I've got a collection of pens and things that are all rubber banded together. It feels more like a bunch of markers or like craft supplies, or I don't know. I feel like they're always coming out with cool markers these days that are like the alcohol markers that don't that aren't buildable until they dry. I'm just seeing just like a lot of different writing utensils. And if we think about ourselves as like, we each have our own signature pen, we each have our own signature writing utensil. And I see this collection of writing utensils signifying this collective, and it's like kind of bound together. And you know, when you have a favorite pen or a favorite marker, like it usually just kind of gets it gets used up faster, right? It gets burnt out. And again, of course, going back to chit chat time of feeling, what were we talking about there, of like feeling the need, like needing to rest sometimes, you know, and you need to just like let the marker rest and let the how do you say, like the ink kind of run to the nib, to the writing part. And storing markers, like here's a Sharpie, storing them this way versus this way, so that way all the liquid can kind of run here. I'm seeing you like put your feet up against a wall, this concept of like restoring the balance and restoring the flow. And if you put your feet up against a wall, it can help the blood come out of your legs and flow back to your heart and really just like flow back up into your brain. It like helps things cycle out a lot more easily. But anyway, I'm seeing a pack of markers, and just the benefit of being part of a collective, the benefit of being in a community is that there's the ability to rotate. It's not like you just have one marker to use over and over and over and over again. It's not just you doing things over and over and over and over again. It's a shared experience. And you also, like I'm seeing like a mandala now, or oh my gosh, do you ever those, I feel like they were Lisa Frank, but they weren't just Lisa Frank ones, the fuzzy posters that you would color, and they give you a pack of markers, and it's just white paper, but the black space in between was fuzzy, and just such a joy to experience. But the whole thing of like when you're a kid and you've got a pack of markers, and it's usually like, it's the cheap ones, it's like they don't have a lot of juice in them, right? And so half the battle is like picking a picture that has a lot of diversity, that has a lot of different colors. Like you can use a lot of different colors in it. It makes sense to use a lot of different colors or to get reinforcements. All this to be said is I'm feeling the season of like calling upon your community, asking your community, like really, I'm seeing like a lazy Susan at the center of the table with lots of different spices and things on it. It's time to like mix it up, like use different spices, use different connections, but like connect with different relationships that you haven't given as much airtime, because it feels like strength in numbers here is the name of the game. And then I'm seeing like if you've got a pack of markers that are all rubber banded together and you flip them up on their ends, you can support a lot more. You can put something on top of that stack of markers. And I don't know why I'm seeing like a sheet of brownies or a sheet of like a pan of cake or like something like that. You can hold up a lot more when you have a collective. And then I'm seeing someone trying to like take 4 and balance like a pan of brownies with 4 markers underneath. It's a lot more wobbly. When we stand together and we're shoulder to shoulder, when we are aligned in our solidarity, when we show up in solitude, but we collect all of our solitudes, when we collect all of our solidarity, we're really quite strong. And there's a lot that we can shoulder, and there's a lot that we can move. Because then I see these like almost like little marker marching soldiers, like almost like Toy Story-esque, like cleaning out the fridge, right? Cleaning out the fridge, like moving stuff out. And I know if you've been with us in the last couple of weeks, we've talked about collective and systemic beliefs, belief systems, structures, outdated things that need to go. We're approaching the energetic new year. We're approaching the astrological new year. So it's kind of like cleaning out the pantry. And in this winter season, we're often going through our pantry. As we approach springtime, when we will start planting seeds, we'll start harvesting the first shoots and sprouts that come up. There'll be a new influx of information and energy and goods, but right now it's kind of like dealing with what we've got and kind of, I don't know if you are someone who experiences joy and like kind of clearing things out. If I've got like 3 different products that I'm almost done with, it feels really joyful to just kind of like complete the use of them, let them go on to their next life and move on, you know, kind of like clear the clutter. Okay, the last thing that came through earlier in the beginning was these markers, and it's like we each are a marker, we each have a marker, and then this concept of like signing blank checks, and how these markers or felt tip pens or something are being used. Like it's like signing checks, and it's almost, I feel like you've been signing so many checks, like you've been spending your energy in a lot of ways lately, and it's when your felt tip marker is like, you know, you're having to press harder to get the ink to come out, or it's coming out streaky, like that's time to do something different. Either write less checks, write fewer but larger checks, store the pen upside down. On desks of business people, they often had those pens where they have a pen holder where it's just like ready to pick up and sign, and you put it right back, and it's always there. And they're showing me that those pens are held constantly point down, where they're not even being set down on their sides where the ink can settle. It's always ready to go. And I have a feeling that you're moving into that kind of life experience where it's important for you to be and feel ready to go. And to be ready to go, your environment has to be supportive of the ready to go nature. It's all about sustainability. So homework for the week: check in on where you're writing your checks, who they're going to, which ones are not being cashed in, because I do feel like you can I feel like there's work or stuff that you're doing for other people that they're not actually taking advantage of, or that they're not actually using. It's like if you cook a meal for someone and then they don't eat it. It's like, okay, you can do that a couple of times, but I'm not going to continue to cook a meal for you if it's not going to be used, because that's helpful, useful energy that I could be using for myself or for other things. So check and see which of your checks are not getting cashed in, and which of your checks are bouncing, which of your investments with people are not landing, or you're overestimating what you can give, you're not able to follow through on it. Just something about the connection's not right. It's not that it doesn't need to happen, it's just there needs to be some revisitation, reclarification, and renegotiation of the agreement, because I have a feeling that people don't have these same expectations. And it's okay to have different expectations. It just creates a little bit of friction. But if we can get to a spot where we tighten, where we discuss and we pull in our expectations, it's a lot more easeful for everybody, for both of us. Okay, dears. 3 readings today. go ahead and tune into group 1, which is a yellow sun. I feel like that might have been what last week's was too. Anyway, group 1 is a yellow sun. I'm really seeing you just like catching sunbeams, like the feeling, especially in deep winter, especially if you live in a cold place, where feeling the warmth and the heat of the sun is just like extra spectacular in wintertime. A little bit of like lizard energy, like I just want to be a lizard sunning on a rock. Very much this energy of needing to sit and chill, and that's how your recharge happens. We're on point on our theme today. Love it. Group 2 is a blue wave, group 2. And I just feel like there's a major influx of energy and information. What is it called? I think it's La Nina. There's El Nino and La Nina. I can't remember where these happen, but it's the way that the current flows near a coastline. One kind of pulls all the nutrients and therefore the fish and the predators that eat the fish out of the shoreline, and one brings it to the shoreline. I feel like it's La Nina that brings that influx of information, food, resources to the shoreline. And then all the fish want to come join it, and then all the predators that eat the fish are like, oh, you know, and then it's a great time to be someone living on that coastline who's fishing, because it's just like nature's abundance is just brought all the way to you. That is the vibe I'm feeling here. And we're going to talk about why that's difficult to accept, what's going on with that. Yeah, that's group 2. Group 3 is that little plant sprout emoji. Group 3. The general feeling I'm feeling here is like feeling unsupported, feeling, it's almost like that little plant sprout, but then I see the real life version of it, and it's just like it hasn't been watered. Its stem feels weak. It feels flopsy. And it's almost at that point where if you have a young seedling, it's like, okay, it needs the proper amount of attention right now. Otherwise, it may not make it. Touch and go. So those are just energies to orient you to that space. It may not mean that that is what the whole reading is about, but that's just how to help you choose the right one based on what you're feeling now. All right, loves, come on back for the collective message at the end where we'll tie in. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump into group 1. Hi, group 1. Oh my goodness. Thank you for bringing this energy. I'm loving to feel the sun on my face in this moment. But it feels fleeting, friends. It feels fleeting. It feels like I recognize that there have been a number of cloudy days. Been a number of cloudy days, and then I'm seeing you kind of like look down at, it feels like you're at the edge of the water, at the edge of a lake or a pond, and the water just feels really still, and I see you like looking at your reflection. If you've ever seen that scene in Mulan where I think the song she sings is, "Who is that girl I see standing there staring back at me? When will my reflection show, ooh, I don't know, who I really am?" And I'm feeling like a recognition of self is in the works. We love the development of coming into one's own, and it can be, what is it called? Like really, why I'm hearing like racketing, like racked with guilt, racked with shame, racked like, and I'm seeing like racket sports, just like, or like, you know how you'll take, I think, like a racket or a rug beater kind of looks like a racket, and it's like you hang the rug out and it's got all this soot and stuff in it, and this feels a little bit on point of what has been coming up before of deprogramming. We've been talking about deprogramming shame and deprogramming like all the schmutz. And if you think about like a rug and all the dirt that gets on a rug, like rugs are very useful. People wipe their feet on rugs and get all of the dirt from their shoes off so they don't track it into the house. That's so helpful and important. And I recognize that you might have had this role where others kind of are, I don't think it's really intentionally, but might be taking things out on you, right? And if you think about that phrase, taking things out on you, it doesn't have to be malicious. People are taking things out of their body, of their form, of their personhood, and they happen to be on you, right? And now I'm thinking and hearing doormat, right? And I feel like we're getting our guest speaker, doormats, coming forward to speak about the integrity of their job and role. You know, we've used doormat as an insult, or perhaps not as an insult, but as kind of like a dig at someone. And doormats are here to say that they are threshold keepers. They are essential and really important in welcoming people into new spaces, and clarifying and cleansing people and kind of holding back everything that belongs in a space that doesn't need to pass through the threshold to the next space. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Again, for doormats, they'll continue to be of use when they are properly maintained. Like the marker at the beginning, you need adequate rest. You need to be shaken out, like get all the schmutz out, sweep all the stuff off. Yeah. I feel like there is a changing of the guards that might happen, or a like changing of role, changing, like if we're talking about you as a rug, right? You're at a portal entrance or at a threshold, you're keeping resources back, like keeping dirt outside where it needs to stay and where it wants to stay and where it should be, as opposed to letting it pass through to a place where it's not desired and not wanted. I'm feeling like very much like keeping the peace, really prepping the space, all that sort of good stuff. But I feel like you're going to move to a space where the foot traffic is going to change. It feels like where you have been feels like it's not even that you've been overutilized. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of foot traffic. I feel like the foot traffic has been inconsistent. And I feel like you have had varying degrees of workload to respond to. Like some people have very clean shoes. Some people have such clean shoes and feet that stepping upon you might make their shoes and feet a little dirtier, right? And then there are others who just come in and it's just like clods of mud, so much dirt, where it's like, you should be kicking your feet off before, or like kicking this mud off before you even get to me. You're overutilizing me. This is absurd, right? It's like walking up to kind of like a nicer doormat and taking, like, you know, you've been out in the fields with the cows. It's like, no, why don't you kick off your boots in the grass a little bit and then come get the finishing touches done here. I just feel like you've not been clearly well matched for the people you've been serving lately. And so I feel like you're going to be moving to a different threshold. You're going to be moving to a different portal experience where you're going to have a lot more consistent foot traffic, both in the frequency of the people that you're serving and in the regard, the level of need, the dirt level. You're going to have a lot more consistency, and what's going to be going on here is you're going to be building more consistent skill. You're going to be building skill through the consistency. And when you get to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're not dealing with such major adaptations to meeting people where they're at when they're all over the place. If you're kind of meeting a specific kind of client or a specific kind of emotional experience, or however this plugs into your life, right? You're going to build skill and you're going to be able to pick up on nuance that you wouldn't have noticed before, because you're seeing the similar situations, more similar situations over and over and over and over again. It's going to just make things a lot easier for you, because it's like, I think we all kind of like when each of our days of work looks a little bit different, but it's not like your days are going to be looking so different that you're going to be coming ill prepared more often than not. You're going to be able to pack your lunch better. You're going to be able to structure your day better. You're going to be able to plan your outfits better, because you're not going to be getting so surprised and blown out of the water with these different experiences. Okay, we're going to move on to something else in this group today. All right, so that is what's like happening in the physical 3D reality aspect. Obviously, it's not like you're a literal doormat. Like, come with me here. It's metaphorical, my babes. If it's not plugging, it should be plugging into your life in a very particular way. If it's not, this may not be the thing for you, because it should and it needs to make sense. The next aspect, though, is kind of a growth edge. What you're coming into, what you're dealing with, what's being called into your rhythm. What is it called? Like your quest, should you choose to accept it. And the thing I'm seeing here is like a dropper bottle, and it feels like a mother or a parent or a master dropper bottle, and then you've got other little things that you're kind of like adding to this. And so what this seems like is it's like drops you take every single day. This is speaking to your habit, rhythm, routines, your meditation practice, the way you get up and like brush your teeth and make coffee in the morning. Or it can look a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be super duper health conscious, but it's just whatever habit, routine, and pattern you begin or end your day with, whatever is your most centering practice. The way you turn all the lights out in the house as you're going to bed, right? Or something like this. The sequence with which you do things, because it very much feels about sequence and order, and improper sequence or incorrect order, because I see you taking things and adding, like it's like you're mixing into this dropper bottle in different ways, like different amounts and different sequences. It really feels like it's the kind of elixir that you need to build and layer. And just like a good soup, or especially like a cake or a baked good, the order in which you add things matters, and then how much time exists between when you're adding things matters. Like if you're cooking, like building a broth or building a soup, you might start by adding some butter to the pan and like cooking some onions down for a little bit, and then adding garlic. But garlic and onions, especially how you chop them, are going to cook at different rates. And so often the onions are going to need to take longer to break down. So you're going to put them in, let them cook a little bit, add the garlic and give it like 30 seconds to a minute or something to catch up. You know what I mean? It's like making these small tweaks in your routines so that way you can experience a different flow. And what the routine is all about, it's not about getting things done. It's not about ticking things off of the list, right? Like, yes, at the end of the night, you're going to have all the lights off, the doors are going to be locked, maybe the blinds are closed. I don't know, like all the different things that you want to do as you're buttoning down the hatches, as you're closing down the house, right? It's less about those things getting done, because yes, you could do them in any order and they would all still get done. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is maintaining the proper energetic flow. If you are familiar with my work, you know that what I am here to do is help you with your energetic flow, right? It's not about, we're using the 3D to interact with the energetic realm, right? This is the 3D, what's around us, what we see, what we hear, what we understand is just the control panel to deal with a whole different realm and world of seen and unseen energies that we want to be playing with, we want to be aligning with, we want to be shaping and shifting and reconfiguring, so that way we can enjoy and experience our lives in a different way that will and does impact the three-dimensional realm. What we're talking about, your get up or go to bed routine, is less about the physical task getting done and more about what kind of mental state, what kind of flow state are you able, like what kind of co-creative process are you able to maintain stasis in for a period of time as you are opening and closing your day, as you are opening and closing your energetic attunement. Some of us do work in our daytimes, some of us do work at night. Some of us do work in our dream space, and that's when we really wake up and get our energetic realm going on. Others do like run it in the morning or run it throughout the afternoon. Like we all have different times of day that we operate at best, and it just also depends on what tasks we're working on. It depends on what habits or patterns that we're keeping. Sometimes we have different projects, we have different, it's not like we do the same thing for our whole entire lives. Some of us do, but our routines and habits can change over time because our energetic roles, jobs, and responsibilities are also shifting. And that's so cool. But basically, so your growth edge right now is really getting things clear. And it feels less like getting things done, like less like your energy is trying to be productive and more about maintaining an openness of the channel, because it's less about you exerting yourself and it's way more about you allowing divine to flow through you, allowing life force energy, not even just yours but others too. It's like you're holding space for others' energy to flow. And back to this like doormat doorway thing, it's like an automatic door. Its job is to just be open and closed at the right times. And I know you know the frustration of like, you know, when you walk up to an automatic door and like the timing is just like a little bit off and you're stuck there like waiting for a little, like a second. And it's not a big deal. Like it's nothing to get bent out of shape about. If you're in a rush and you're like, I need to get through there. Yes, that's one thing. But it's like, there's a whole different, like, the kind of flow that you feel like, have you ever had a main character day where you're just like, everything's going right? You're hitting the green lights. You're walking in to, I don't know why I want to say Harris Teeter, because I lived in North Carolina for a while and we had Harris Teeter grocery stores, and like walking into the brand new Harris Teeter and the doors open right along and you walk down the grocery store aisles and all the lights turn on as you need to see the things inside of them. And it feels like it's giving main character, right? People move out of your way if you're ever driving, long distance driving, and you're on a freeway and you're moving at a certain speed, and it's just like other cars can notice like they're moving out of your way, or like we're all dancing with each other really well. That's what I'm talking about, right? And it's not about you being the most important one. No, it's about co-creation and collaboration and you moving out of the way when it's time for someone else to pass, because that's their main character moment, or that's their flow. It's about all of us recognizing, being in this beautiful, well-balanced interstitial space where we're not at the surface, we're not at the bottom, we're somewhere in between, and we have a lot of mobility and ease of movement, where we're not making quick shifts last minute, but when we are anticipating the flow of traffic and when we're responding to each other and really acknowledging the divine in each of us, it becomes a beautiful dance. So basically, that's the goal. That's where we want to go. That's where you want to experience. That's what you're going to be getting to be an expert in. You're going, like, I'm hearing thought leader. I'm hearing like Marie Kondo. She is an amazing, I want to say feng shui artist. I don't know if that's what she would call herself, but she communicates and works well with environments around her and around other people. She reads and understands and interacts with energies that are not her own in such an effective way that she's teaching and educating others on how to interact with and maintain a deeper respect and alliance with for in relation to their environments. This is like what you're going to be doing. You're going to be able to do that, but just in a flow state, and it feels more like maintaining open conduit, maintaining openness, so that way energy can flow through you, and not just through you, but through your environment. It's about maintaining clarity and cleanliness of environment, so that way if someone comes in environment and has got ookie gookie energy, it can just move up and out, and that environment is well poised to receive and respond and facilitate transit and transfer of whatever energy. Or if someone comes in with a deep need, energy can come in and flow in really easily. If we have all the systems set up, it's super easy to respond to need, lack, and excess, and to reallocate these resources so we're able to maintain a more harmonic state of balance. Okay, my loves, I love this. I love this work. I love this work. I love this work. I love this work. If you're getting it done, tell me about it. I want to hear how you do it. I want to hear where you do it. I want to hear in what environments. I want to hear how this clicks into your life, because it can look so many different ways. That's the cool part. And I also want you guys to see that in each other, of like, number one, you're not alone doing this work in the world. And number two, it looks so different. People are doing this in every different environment that's out there. And when we have the reflection of someone else doing jobs similar to what we're doing, number one, we can see that we're part of a team. We can see that the work is going to get done, that it's not as heavy of a load. And just like how fun to meet people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, right? It's just like fast friends, you know? And so I know you're all out there, and I just want you all to be connected and like feel each other's presence and like have the joy in that. But you know what? Maybe I'm just going to claim that experience for myself, and I don't need to have any, whatever. Anyway. Thank you, Group 1. If you need additional support, you know how to find me. I'll see you next week. Group 2. Okay, so you guys were the wave emoji. There's a lot coming in. What I'm seeing for you is, I just feel like I see you looking down at your feet. You're standing on sand, and it's that kind of picture or image of water seeping down into sand. You know how it looks really wet at first, and then the water goes down and it looks more grainy and dry? I really am feeling like you are, and it's funny because this is reminding me of Group 3's image right now at the beginning. But sorry, I'm just gonna resituate, like sit on my little perch here. Yeah. It's time for you to sit and just like be nourished, be watered, be have all the information come to you. Really needed to get comfortable, and maybe that's what you need to do, is just really get comfortable. Do what you need to do. Get all the accoutrement that you need to be comfy, which is what I'm going to do right now. Just get all the way comfy. Get all the way comfy. But what I'm seeing you really needing is to just let these waves come upon you. I don't see you scrambling to pick up fish or resources. I don't see you collecting or harvesting. I feel a little bit of that energy of, there is a fable or a little story about a frog who was nervous. I don't know, there was a predator nearby, and the mother frog was like, just stay still, little frog. And little frog couldn't stay still and moved and then got scooped up by a predator. And I'm feeling that same energy of like needing to adjust, needing to respond, although you're not going to do it right now. Like your nervous system is balanced enough to stay and allow yourself to be in receptive mode. I feel like there's this concept of you're the kind of if you're not the kind of person, then you might have been in this energy recently of you move too often to really experience the full receipt of support, because it's like you move to a new space, you set up systems of support, and before the cows can come home, before the checks come in, before, you know, your eggs hatch, you're on a farm today, you're on to the next. And for some, this is their pattern and is a pattern that needs to improve, because if you're following that pattern, you're an initiator. And if you're an initiator, the way that you get fed is immediately. You know that you need to be in a new area because what you are hungry or thirsty for is waiting there, and when you go there, you immediately are fed correctly. And because that input is put into you, you're able to give the output of initiating, of catalyzing, of shifting presence. If you are refining, you get to a place and you don't have energy. You sit and wait and listen until the energy comes to find you, works its way through your system, and then you have the ability to respond, reflect, and interact and shift and shape that environment so it become more well attuned. What I'm not sure for you here is if you are an initiator or a refiner. And what I have a feeling is you're acting like an initiator, but you're actually refining. And because you're not an initiator, you're getting depleted too soon. And because you're not following your complete process as a refiner, you're also not getting nourished, because your nourishment comes on the back end, right? So it's like you're moving. Yeah. Do you see the challenge here, right? Do you see how it's not working right for you? It might be that you're in the middle of a change of habit and pattern, and I have a feeling that like even just getting this information is going to help you clarify where you're at. Like I think that you can figure this out on your own. Unless you are just wholly in a whole different pattern or process or procedure completely, in which case you likely picked up these habits from initiators, maybe refiners, and you've never really found your own energetic signature. And that's where you do need help, right? And you can however you want to get that help is your business and up to you. That's something that I can help you with. That's something that you can find assistance or support of reflection in other people, in other systems, in other practices, in DIYing it and really examining and studying your environment. But if you want to get to the heart of things and want to move into a more correct and aligned energetic signature, I think what you need to do is just stay in one space and wait until it tells you. That's how I would DIY it in this case, unless we're working one-on-one and we can discuss the specifics of your life and what, because I also feel like you're experiencing, the reason why I say stay in one place is because I feel like you're experiencing multiple sticking points in different realms in your life, but it's not all the same sticking point. It's like it's more of a difficult pattern to see because the pattern itself isn't really clear. It's not consistent. You're not getting the same motion or emotion every time. Okay, so that's what's going on for you. We talked about growth edges today, so that's going to be our theme of the week, is the growth edge experience. And what I'm seeing now, it kind of reminds me of that scene from the very beginning of the collective message about, not the beginning of the collective message, it was in the middle or towards the end of the collective message, but if we're talking about, I don't know, we're talking about markers and basically, and like a pan of brownies, and this concept of like trying to hold up this pan of brownies with 4 markers, like trying to hold up this binder shape thing with 4, like making a table with 4 legs, and it feels wobbly. It feels wobbly. I feel like you're trying to establish, I feel like you're trying to establish or build a structure in your life, and you have not been given the tools with which to do it, or the tools that you have been given are meant for something else. This is very along the lines of the main part of your reading of like, okay, you're trying to act like something that you're not. And it's okay, because you're just trying your best, and you're mimicking. Like, what do kids do? What do we do? We mimic. We do what we see others doing, right? But the challenge is if our bodies and our psyches and if we're meant to be doing something else and we're not seeing it represented outside of us, it's a whole different process, right? Instead of external to internal to external, it's like external visual, internal process, creating external restructuring or repetition or mimicry of that. The process has to be inside to outside. It has to start in the inside. It has to start in how we're feeling in our bodies, what it feels like to start the day and to have perception, right? And to feel less into our environment and more into our internal world, because then we finally quiet things down and we recognize our own sticking points and not other people's sticking points. Because when we are, why do I want to say mocking? When we are replicating, or when we are mimicking, or when we are, a mockingbird does the same things. It's not, we have bad connotations, we have more detrimental connotations of mocking, like it being making fun of, right? But mockingbirds are really just, I'm not a mockingbird. We'll get messages from mockingbirds today. I love this. We are having guest speakers today, guys. I dig it. This happens in the Akashic Records sometimes, like if I'm in one person's record and then we're talking about, and like a loved one wants to come in, or like lessons from another creature or entity or spirit, it's just like it's such a treat, because everything has an Akashic record. Everything has a soul experience. And it's just so fun when there's another higher self that wants to contribute and volunteer its time and lessons to you. That's cool. That's so cool. Anyway, so we'll hear from mockingbirds in a moment, or we'll hear from them right now. Mockingbirds are reflectors, they're amplifiers, and they call us into higher perception of ourselves and others. Mockingbirds call us into they really are juxtaposing integrity and community, right? The juxtaposition where those two intersect, fall perpendicular, fall into and out of accord. Because if a mockingbird can make its way into your community, if they can repeat the call and fool the community members, influence the community members, impact the community members, that's information. That's either calling us to widen our community, that may be part of it, or to tighten our community, or to develop our sensitivities further, that we can remember, we can recognize when our call, when the signifier of our community originates from a community member we know, or from a community member that we don't know yet, or that's not even part of the same species.
I feel like that's the crux of where your detective work is leading you right now, of like, how do I suss out the imposters? And the way that you can do this is because you have been an imposter yourself, you know? Like, that's what you're mimicking behaviors, patterns, habits, routines that were not invented for you, that did not come from a rising need from your own body. And it's not bad. You're not like an insidious, person. We come into environments, and when we don't know what to do, we start copying other people. And I feel like this is the detective work. So we've got like 3 prongs of this here, right? There's communities. There's you, a detective in the community that's also kind of like a mirror and a teacher. Yeah. Sorry, I've got a lot of information coming in right now, and I want to make sure that it all kind of like not clears up, but like gets clear before it comes out of my mouth. Yeah, the lessons and the gold nuggets from this group right here are being so tuned into nuance, and then having the balance, like having the ability, once you hone the ability to feel the need inside of yourself and to recognize what actions and activities, like have some separation out of doing something from it coming inside of your body and doing something as a way to fit in or reflect or mirror what's outside of your body. Once you're able to have some differentiation and separation of that, like that is your superpower. That is what you will come into form with, come into knowing with, and to really, that's going to be the foundation that you pursue the rest of your career with. These is career moves. These is career moves. And that's the shift and transformation of your life that's on the table right now. Is like, oh boy, someone who feels just like they're toiling away, nothing really makes sense. Like, I feel like any structure that you try and build is shaky or shoddy at best. It wobbles and falls. You cannot build more than one layer at a time. Every layer that you build becomes increasingly unsteady, and I just feel like you're often sitting with the chips that have fallen as they may and feeling dismayed and at a loss and frustrated and tired. And the difference to what you will get to feel is intentional, called upon, requested for your services, in the right place at the right time, a linchpin, someone who without you, things wouldn't get to go together. People would be sitting in that experience of being lost, confused, and in a pile of stuff, right? And then when you come, you bring perspective and clarity and an attunement that when you walk away, there is a solid structure, multiple layers standing in your wake. Your misunderstanding has been thinking that you're supposed to be standing in those structures, or that you're supposed to be building those structures. I have a feeling that your presence alone is the attunement that it takes to force people into more direct action and response within themselves. I feel like you are calling people who have been waking up, like being born, are copying the people around them, are building structures that work, that are meant to work, but they're disconnected with the impetus and the need that is in their bodies. And it happens to be that the structures that they're building reflect a need in their body, like it's the right match, but it's just not in integrity. It's not a through line. They're working outside, inside, outside, when what they also really need to be doing is working from the inside to the outside. Even if their inside outside process is going to look very similar to what they've already been doing, when they have integrity in their form, it's going to inform the way that they build and structure. It's like the difference between, like, people like to trash on IKEA furniture. IKEA furniture is brilliant, guys. Like, it's well made. It's often real materials. It's ingeniously engineered, and it's very efficient. But if you put it together and you don't read the instructions and you don't follow the right steps and the right path and the right sequence, which was that part of the collective message? I feel like it might have been. I don't know. That was part of group one's. Right sequence is a theme here as well, right? It's just a lot of times these messages, I'm realizing, are they're just facets of the same jewel, right? It's just different ways of hearing, not the exact same thing, but anyway, we're going to leave that because that's not important now. That's for me. Okay, thank you. IKEA furniture is brilliant, and it's brilliant when you put it together right. It is so strong and sturdy. If you put it together haphazardly, if you don't tighten all the bolts, if you don't do it in the correct order, it doesn't have the same structural integrity, and it weeble wobbles, right? And it's like the difference between having the same thing put together well and put together poorly. Massively different experiences. You can sit down at a table and it can weeble wobble every single time, and it's going to drive, I mean, for me, that would drive me nuts. Some people don't care, and that's also fine if you don't care. I don't think that that's who you are, right? I think in this scenario, or whatever's going on in your life right now, or whatever your energetic career path is that you're on, you're someone who's tuned in to the weeble wobble that other people are just like, they don't know how to fix it, and they don't care enough to fix it, and they don't believe that they can fix it, and they just don't, it's not important enough to fix it. But when it is fixed, it's like the opposite of death by 1,000 cuts, right? Like, death by 1,000 cuts is like a lot of little things that grate on your nerves, and then you freaking lose it, right? It's like solution by 1,000 band-aids, right? Of like, if you start taking care of those little things, if you change out the lights from being fluorescent to incandescent, or from cool to warm lighting, it's just a lot of little things that no longer grate on you, that leave you with a fuller tank of gas at the end of the day, that allow you to make it through your whole day. You're going to help people make it through their whole day and have energy in the bank at the end of the day. And what can you do with that? You can invest it. You can invest it into hobbies. You can invest it into relationships. You can also just enjoy not being at your wit's end and destroying relationships and horribly impacting other people because you ran out of gas halfway through and you're snapping, right? And it's so silly that a wobbly table can contribute to that, but there's so much power in a well-aligned and integral, a structure with integrity that just has the capacity to hold so much more. So there's your, like, maybe not growth edge, but like what's on the horizon for you, what you have the capacity to embody, hold, impart, and impact others with and through. If you want to learn more about what that looks like, I feel like some of you are already in a role that can hold this structure, this energetic structure and signature, right? Because this energetic structure and signature can be held in a lot of different physical environments. There can be a lot of different people who have different lives, are doing different jobs, but are running the same, or similar, I should say, energetic blueprint, right? If you're one person, you can have two jobs on the table that will both allow you to do the same energetic blueprint, but look very different in 3D reality, right? You follow what I'm saying? This is the whole benefit of having someone who can help you look at these things, right? Is like, yeah, it's a lot of what you do, but what I do, you know. But basically, if you want to help and support seeing these things or talking through this specific for you, you can book with me. The link is below. The important thing to remember as you're going forward, I just feel like, is organizing your notes and getting a hold of all your thoughts, because I'm still seeing you kind of sitting there and all these nutrients are coming, all this information is coming, all this water is coming through and soaking into the sand, and it's not yet time to move. You'll know it's time to move when the ground becomes saturated, and I don't think that it ever will, because like the waves come into the shore, they come in, they trickle out through the sand, and then they go back out. I really feel like you get to stay in your same place, in your same job, in your same house, in your same marriage, in your same whatever situation is up for you right now that you're kind of thinking about that made you come to this reading of like, do I need to shift and do I need to go? I think you get to stay in your same situation, but I think it's about reframing how you utilize and how you execute and how you act, how you step out into the world, right? I think you stay in the same place, but I think the way that you step out into the world becomes different. And that's the way I think it should go. Okay. Anything else? I hear yes. Shrimp are filter feeders. And I feel like, I don't know why I'm still thinking of you as like a detective or like an observer. You're basically an observer, right? That's your skill and super strength. Like I see you in the, like, what is it? Dick Tracy, like the hat and the coat and the magnifying glass. And then I see like you have all these shrimp, these living little shrimp, like you're, I don't know, like I feel like good detectives, and this kind of ties back to the collective message at the beginning of like we really are needing to be using and capitalizing on our community right now, not taking advantage of, but just utilizing our community, right? We need to be functioning as part of our community and taking advantage, you know what I mean, of our community. I feel like a really good detective or private eye or monster or bouncer or whatever has spotters out, right? Someone who's investigating, a good agent, has spotters out, has people that he checks in or she checks in with occasionally who can feed information to you. And this is like, you need your little shrimps. Send your shrimps out. They're filter feeders. Shrimp are able to filter through a lot of different things and grab the nutrients that they need, and that's what they take, right? And the rest just goes through them. You don't got the time, bandwidth, capacity, or money to be going through so much content right now. That is not your job or problem. You need stuff that has already been distilled. You need stuff that has already been collected, and like you need other people panning for gold and then bringing you the vials of all the little flakes, right? Because that's how fast you can make fast and light work out of a lot of information as long as you're not sifting through it. Whereas others are going to have a hard time reconciling with all of those individual pieces of gold. Like even if they are all collected in one space, that just like, that boggles the minds of some people, right? Your mind was literally made for it. And it's almost like, it's like counting money, right? It's like you are like an automatic bill counter, right? Where it's like to be put to use, you want stacks of hundreds of sheets of bills to be run through you. Whereas if someone's counting them by hand, that's so overwhelming. They don't want to do that. You love that. You live for that. What frustrates you is when you get 2 or 3 bills at a time. It's like, why did we even do this, right? Why did we put 3 $5 bills in a bill counter when we could have, in the time that it took to do that, we could have counted it by hand? But if we have, $50,000 in $5 bills, like, yes, we want an automatic bill counter. That's you. All right, I don't know why that became so belabored, but it just feels important. Just like let other people do the filtering work and then let them pass the stuff off to you, right? You're not an egomaniac. You're not the most important one. You're not, it's about working as part of a team. And when you show up to do your job and you let other people do their jobs, it's just more easy, mo better. Okay, group 2. Love it. Let me know how you do. Let me know how it be. Let me know what's going on. I hope you're well, and I'll catch you next Wednesday. Okay. Group 3. What a way to be. All right. So you guys were the little planty. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I'm just gonna catch some information real quick. Y'all get yourself centered and embodied and think about what you need. Think about how this applies to your life, because I feel like there are a couple of different ways that it could plug in. Think about the one that it needs to fit into right now. Good. Okay, I'm seeing that little plant. And it's like the neck of the plant is, I don't know if it ran out of water. It feels like it ran out of water, but the ground feels saturated right now. And so it's the kind of thing where it's like, I don't know, if you ever you forget to water a plant and it droops over, and you can imagine all the tubes are there are tubes of water that bring the water from the roots to the top. They're all kind of kinked. There's a kink in the hose, and if a bunch of water comes rushing in at once, it kind of just deepens the kink. It kind of has to trickle through a little bit at a time to come back to life. And then someone's overwatered the soil, so then so then it's just saturated and it feels like it's gonna rot, because there's just so much water. I just feel like you're dealing with some serious extremes here, my friends. I love and hate that for you. Yeah, group 1 had a similar kind of aspect. But what I'm seeing for you is you have shallow roots and you have deep roots. And I feel like because you're a young plant, it's been mostly about the shallow roots. Shallow roots are stabilizing. If you think about a little baby plant, you're going to want a deep root is not really going to help you from not falling over, right? It's the shallow roots that go out to the side. It's like tent stakes, right? Or if you've got a circus tent, it's all those little, what helps it really from not falling over is not the center pole that can go into the ground. Yes, that's great, but it's really important to have all the shallow roots at the edges, all the shallow tent stakes that kind of keep it taut. I feel like that's what you have been focusing on, when what you really need right now is to focus on those deep roots, what deeply nourishes you. I mean, when the rains haven't come for a long time, what is your wellspring? What is so far under the earth's surface that it's part of the water table? You know what I mean? That thing that connects to the water table level that is always there, even if it's been a drought for 4 years. You know what I mean? What makes you feel alive? Okay? Is that there anymore? For some of you, it's not, and it hasn't been for a while. And this feels like a relationship of no, it's been the shallow stuff that has been keeping this alive for a long time. And the deep stuff I can't decide if it wasn't there, it's never been there, or if the waters just went down over time, And the phrase, you just need to reach a little deeper. is going to polarize this fraction. So half of you are going to be like set off by that. And that's your sign that you need to leave, that it's time to go. Those of you that you're like, where you know that it's true, it's just not what you wanted to hear, that's when you decide to stay. And when you take some of the energy that's been going to shallow roots and pull it back, because shallow roots don't matter shit if you don't have a deep root to sustain you. Because I have a feeling that if you're in an environment that all those shallow roots are like totally saturated, they're all gonna rot and die anyway. So you're gonna rot and die unless you have an investment in that deep taproot. And I also am hearing that when it comes to like being kind of wilty, that deep taproot can drink up water slowly enough that it like, you know how, all right, so let's say this is the bend and there's a kink in the hose, and a kink in a hose doesn't mean zero water's coming through. It means very little water's coming through. And if water moves slowly enough that it can still move through that small space without having so much built up pressure, then it can kind of slowly straighten out over time. I don't know. If it doesn't make sense, then let it go. But there's this concept of like, yeah, you know how like if you have a sponge that's super dry and you run it underwater and you like run it underwater really quick, it's so dry that it just like, it takes a minute for the water to, it just like most of the water runs off the sponge. It doesn't really soak anything up. Whereas if you take even less water and you like apply it slowly, then the sponge like livens up. It just takes a moment. Capillary action, baby. It just is gonna take a moment. So don't burn your britches, don't burn your bridges, or get too big for your britches when it takes a little bit of time for the water to come up from the deep, deep, deep well. And if you're part of the group that needs to leave, then pack your bags, baby, and let's go. And make sure that as you take your, like now I'm seeing the plant just kind of like hitch up all of its roots, pull the taproot up, loop it over its shoulder a bajillion times, and like, and move on down the road. Make sure that before you plant all those little roots, you get to know the water table first. You get to know what kind of environment that deep taproot is getting into. Because I have a feeling that for those of you that need to leave, you either knew in advance, you were ill-advised, or you were not trusting yourself when you landed here. Okay? So let's move on to, that is like what's happening in the 3D realm. Let's move on to the energetic imprint that you have on the horizon. What's at your growth edge right now? And now what I see is, we're going to keep with the plant thing. Now I see you collecting rainwater before it even gets into the ground. It's almost like a leaf that's out, that's cupped, that holds rainwater before it even hits the soil and gets a chance to get to the roots. I feel like what you're doing right now is exploring your capacity to hold, your capacity to contain, your capacity to like kind of have your arms and hands out. this is about your capacity to receive, and to even receive anything, you have to have your hand out first. I mean, someone can walk by you and be like, stop you and say, hey, do you want this thing? But they're less likely to just go up to, it's not very efficient to go up to every stranger and ask every stranger, like, hey, do you want this thing that I have? Hey, do you want this thing that I have? Hey, do you want this thing that I have? And it's a lot more likely to only stop and talk to people who have their hands out, who are wanting something. You see? Okay. All right. I think this one might be, let's see, short and sweet. We might have to split into two groups here. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and split into two groups at this point. So the ones who are going to stay, we'll talk to you first. We'll call you 3A. And the ones who are going to leave, we'll talk to you second, 3B. So if you're part of 3B, go ahead and skip ahead. That's if you're taproot, like if you need to, if dig a little deeper hit you wrong and you need to go, right? So 3A, people who heard dig a little deeper and are like, oh, dang, that's a lot. I know it's what I need to do. So your growth, edge, and experience is about taking that water that you catch and hold, like having your hands out to like using what you receive. Using what you receive is your growth edge right now. And I'm just seeing this like cutie little plant just kind of splash water on its face and then splash water on its face, and just more and more in this concept of like, it feels like cleaning and clearing your self-image. It feels like, how, you know, that feeling of like splashing water on your face, and it's like a hot dusty day or something like that, when it feels so good. Like imagine an experience where splashing water in your face, just like, oh my gosh, it's just the nines, right? And it's usually an environment that's like kind of tired, kind of dirt, I don't know, you're needing some nourishment and support, and this concept of just self-nourishing, self-supporting until you go to put your hands down in the water to get more, and you don't feel dried out by the time you hit your face again with the next splash of water. Does that make sense? Because I feel like not only are you splashing water on your face, but like when you do this action, it's like splashing water elsewhere. It's putting water into the atmosphere. I feel like you've been in a kind of dry, arid environment, and you need to be like, you're a little plant. You need more humidity. You need mist in the air. Like you need those sprinklers at the grocery store. And if that's not happening for you, if you're in a drought season, then do it yourself. Make it yourself. Throw some water in the air. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, not only are we asking you to take care of yourself so much that you're feeling restored, but your cup runneth over, so that way the environment around you is supported enough that you get to spend your time doing things other than just supporting yourself, you know? Because what use is that? You're in the wrong environment if that's the case. And if that's the case, then you're not in this group, you're in the other group that just needs to go, because you're not ever going to get what you need. If you need to just dig a little deeper, you're in an environment that has the capacity and capability to support you. So let it support you. And a lot of that sometimes is drawing back and taking care of yourself until your environment knows how to meet your needs as well. It's also about, again, having your hands out, asking for help, and owning and holding the statement of, I am in a space of need. Saying, my hand out right now, I am in a space of need. and then watching it and feeling it get filled. And then thank you. And then asking again. And letting the feeling not only I feel like the fear here is, well, what if others need it more than me? What if I'm greedy? What if I don't know when I've had enough? And that is the cat. Like, that's the one. I don't know when I've had enough. Making sure that as you're putting your hand out, you're feeling whatever has satiated that need flow down your body and coat your whole form, right? So like, I don't know why I'm visualizing money right now. Probably because that's a state of need. Of like, I'm in a state of need, money coming in here, throwing it on myself, and feeling and having the awareness of like, yes, some of it's getting spent, but some of it's sitting around me. And then holding my hand out again, it happening again, throwing it up. And I'm like, oh, and this concept of it building, of my savings building, right? Yes, some of it's getting spent. Some of it's going right out the door. Sometimes I feel like I'm splashing water on myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting a paycheck or getting money and it's just immediately gone. And it's like, did anything ever happen? What was the use of that? It's just gone. But doing it with such habit and routine that I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it build up. And now I can hold my hand out a little bit slower. I don't need to be so thirsty. I don't need to be so needy. I don't need to spend so much energy to have this hand out all the time. I can just do it every 3 weeks, you know? And that can slow, and then you slowly get yourself into homeostasis. And the environment has been informed on the frequency that you require resource. And so that way, when you put your hand out, you're not having to wait for someone to come by. The universe has already dropped off resources in this space at a certain frequency that it's already there. You put your hand out, it's ready to go. You know what I mean? It's like you know how much the faucet is turned on. Like if you've got a trickle, you have to wait until your hands fill up and then you got to throw it on your face. And then you got to get your hands out really quick so that way that trickle, by the time your skin dries out, you've got a full hand of water to throw on your face because it takes so long to fill up the cup of your hands because it's a trickle. If the water's flowing faster, right, then you put your hand out and it doesn't take as long. And you can enjoy this experience of like, oh my gosh, I'm enjoying this. Okay, I'm starting to dry out. Now I'm going to put my hands out more. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just a different dynamic. And then before you know it, I'm hearing like passive income. Before you know it, it's just raining. It's misting. You're in the grocery store and you're just like, you don't even have to put your hands out for water, right? And this doesn't have to be money. This can be love. This can be attention. This can be safety. Like this can be so many different things in your life, right? Apply it to where it needs to be for you. But those are just good examples. Okay. Love you, group 3A. Yeah, I don't think you need to come back at the end. I think you can just tune into the collective message. Thanks for being along for this part of the ride. So 3B. Is that a B? Which one's a D and which one's a B? I don't know I don't know if the video is reversed. This looks like B to me, so I feel like it's this way. 3B. Anyway. All right, so you guys have got your little taproot slung over your shoulder and you're trudging on to the next spot. I feel you, sister. I'm hearing the like Heigh song. And this is the reminder of like, in Snow White, Heigh ho, it's off to where we go. They sing that song when they go to work, but they sing that song when they go home. And I have a strong feeling for you now that it's time to go home. You know? I think whatever experience you're walking yourself away from was the Heigh Ho song going to work, you know? And really, the Heigh song is about keeping oneself company through the woods. The woods back in the day were like kind of a scary place. People, like, yes, you would go, you could forage, you could get food from there, but like spooky stuff could happen. You know what I mean? I just like the feeling that I get is just like an unfamiliar territory. And singing was maintaining presence with self while traversing through that unknown interstitial space, that thready between worlds, veil is thin space. And it felt so important and right to reaffirm one's sovereignty, one's autonomy, one's personhood, one's beingness when traversing spaces like that. I feel like that is where you've been, and the work you've done has been alone. I don't really feel like you've been, I know you've been with other people, right? I know you've been with other people, but it doesn't feel like you've really known them. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like your taproots reached the same spot, or you haven't been, it's not been right. Okay. It's time to go home. And home in the sense of the place it's not always the nourishment that you want, but it's the nourishment you can get. And it's the nourishment that has brought you into this world and sustained you thus far in life. It's the place that that your soul went to get a start in the world. And even if that taproot, even if what's given is quote unquote not enough, I want you to try it again. Because I get that original recognition of not enough is what made you strike out in the first place. And I'm wondering that if you had known then what you know now, if you go home and you know now what you know now, if you would utilize your resources differently, if you would utilize your connection differently, if you would spend your resources differently. And if we're coming to that thing, that image of your growth edge now being putting your hands out and asking for a need, I think the task for you is really acknowledging yourself, because I feel like you've had holes in your fingers. People put stuff in there and you throw it on your face and there's nothing there. And you're like, what the heck? I think you really are in a season of needing to study self and study like, oh, well, makes sense. There are holes in my hands. That's going to hold water a lot better. And it feels less about getting the actual resources as having gratitude and appreciation for your ability to hold them, because that's what's not been working for you in the past. And even if it's just a trickle of water, even if it's just a little bit of love, even if it's just a little bit of money, even if it's just a little bit of attention, recognition, support, acceptance, whatever this is for you in your life, having awe and gratitude and wonder in your body of like, oh my gosh, they just acknowledged me. And I love that my body can feel, I love that my energy, my body, my psyche, my mind, my heart can feel pride, can feel belongingness, can feel camaraderie just from this person taking a moment to recognize me. It can be so little, right? It can be a freaking breadcrumb, right? The point is not getting drug addicted to where the breadcrumbs are coming from, but to become so in awe of your body's ability to break down the breadcrumb into usable, buildable, structurable nutrients that then it can use for fuel to go get more, ideally, slices of bread, right? Okay, my dears, I know that this is a task. I personally, yeah, it kind of irks me when, whatever. I was gonna say, in the past, it has irked me to be like, you just need to be more grateful. I'm like, that doesn't sound cool. That doesn't sound sexy. That doesn't sound enticing or delightful. But I get that this is a different experience for you because it's a somatic practice. It's a somatic tool, and it's one that's going to put you back in ownership of your own body. And I feel like the detriment that you have been experiencing is that you have been stripped from, your body has been stripped from your experience. And yeah, and that's not okay. I'm not about that. And your capacity to maintain and retain and reobtain ownership of your body in physical form is unmatched. It's what you're here to do. You are always made to lay claim to yourself. And every other time that you didn't take advantage of that opportunity is not important now. What's important is you showing up to lay claim and ownership to who you are. Okay, my dears. Love and support. I will see you next Wednesday. Okay? All right, my dears. Let's go ahead and close up the connection this week. I appreciate your time and presence here. As always, it is a pleasure and a thrill and an honor and just such a joy to read for you. Yeah, if you ever want to meet more deeply, if you want to have a deeper connection, a deeper read, a deeper experience of this work, I would love to facilitate that for you. It is my joy to bring people deeper into meeting themselves and deeper into meeting each other. It's just, it's a joy. So book in. You can find me at soulshiftchanneling.com. I read for individuals, for teams, for groups, for families, for people and their pets, for people and their spouses, for people and their besties, for people and their children, all sorts of people. And it's so fun. So, all right, my dears, anything else? Yeah, I feel like there is, but we'll find it. Okay. In love and light, I thank our masters, teachers, and loved ones for their information and guidance. Amen, amen, amen. The records are closed. The last thing I see is it's a yellow ribbon and it's waterproof. I work in a florist shop and there's this big deal between waterproof ribbon and not waterproof ribbon, and it's, anyway, a vibe. Waterproof ribbon is that kind of plasticky, it's called acetate. It's not actually that enjoyable to work with, personally speaking, I don't think. But anyway, I see a ribbon coming out and then I'm seeing someone cut it at angles. And you know how like at the ends of ribbons, sometimes they'll be like, if this is, what's the right shape? If this is a ribbon, they'll like cut a tail that's at an angle, you know, and then like to make it match on the other side, you'll do that, or you can do it reverse like that way, you know. But to make that, if you've got just tails, you need to cut, and you've got a ribbon like this, you need to cut it like this way or like this way, but not like that way. You know what I mean? Because then you'll have to twist it and you can do that. I'm just, the point of this image, right, is to bookend your experiences well. I feel like there is a call to open up space and to close space. And when you can make chapters in your chapter book, you'll get the differentiation and the passing of time more accurately attuned to your body. I feel like time has felt slippy or unsatisfying or unfulfilling lately, and it's going to hit a lot better if you open and close each meal with a prayer, if you open and close each chapter with a physical marker, if you open and close each experience or chapter of your life with recognition, attunement, and acknowledgement. All right, so that's my task for you. Thank you, loves. I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I hope you have a great time. Till then, bye.